Hi, welcome back to Nick's Drum Lessons. This is Nick's Drum Licks number 5 in my series. This particular lick is a really cool one that I kind of borrowed from Steve Jordan. I saw this clip of Steve Jordan in this Vic Firth promotional video where he's just doing a solo in front of an audience. And in that typical Steve Jordan fashion, he's grooving the whole thing. It's not a whole lot of flash, it's just solid grooves. And real briefly, he does this lick that it just stuck out as, wow, that's really cool, unique. Not necessarily hard, just a nice take on this particular kind of thing. So anyway, let's discuss how this goes, all right? It's just eighth notes on your left foot, pumping eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Your bass drum is all the E's and U's, so it's constant 16th notes between the 2 feet, but already it's a little tricky because if you're a double bass player, you typically lead with your right foot, right, left, right, left. Well, this is just going the opposite, 1 E and a 2 E and a. So already the emphasis of your body is a little lopsided because the left foot is leading, all right? So let's take a look at that. I'll start with the left foot pumping, and then I'll add my E's and U's. Alright, so it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, alright? So already a little tricky. Now, the flams that he's doing is split between the floor tom and the snare. Now, I slightly do my right before my left, right, left, so that the snare is the heavier of the emphasis. Already, again, very lopsided because your left is usually not the dominant. It's your right, so right, left. Again, very lopsided kind of lick here, all right? And that can be done against your eighth notes like this. All right, so the counts for that was 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Downbeat of 1, upbeat of 2, 1 and 2 and then the downbeat of 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So that should give you the elements of the feet, the hands with the left foot. You can also work it with your hands versus the bass drum, so you're dissecting it a little bit before you're putting it together. And then, yeah, you go for it. Now, the hardest thing in the world is to start this thing, because typically you want to start with your left pumping. It's a little easier, so you can do a slow build-up. Alright, so you can see I started my left foot, and then I added the flams and the bass drum. And it is tricky just to get it going, alright? So, the other thing is you want to start bookending this. Start it right well from the beginning with no warm-ups of the left foot or anything else. You start the lick immediately, you come out of it with another bass drum and crash, okay? So think about that. The lick will end on an of a bass drum. If you want to get it practical and use it as a fill, you want to get it back on the bass drum of the 1, which is typical of 1. So, try that. Alright, so I'm bookending it. Starting clean, getting out clean on the crash and the bass, and you can see my foot doing the 1 to get back to the beat of 1. Alright, because again it's really tricky because you're already on the E's and U's of the lick. Alright, so, long story short, you can start to do this as a solo motif and move the flams around. It sounds really cool. The best is just using it as a groove, or sorry, as a fill to a groove. Early in their video, you saw me do it with 16th note kind of R&B groove into it. All right. Alright, so that's that kind of feel, 16th note driven. It's a little easier if your left foot is already pumping 8th notes. So let's think of some grooves that actually have that. I'll do 8th notes here, broken 16th notes here, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Some 16th note oriented bass drum patterns and then a typical 2 and 4, maybe a couple ghost notes. And then I'll go into that lick, really effective. Alright, like I said, really effective in that one. The other way I'll do this is as a kind of a go-go music, very popular in DC, which I'm outside of. I'm about an hour outside of DC. So very Chuck Brown, Belle Biv DeVoe kind of feel. But again, I'll have the 8th notes going, but this time all my 16th notes will be shuffled. So even the feet now will, instead of going 1 E into 2 E into 3 E into 4 E into, we'll be counting 1 E into 2 E into 3 E into 4. So I got to put a little bit of swing into it, okay? Take a listen. So very cool lick that Steve Jordan does here, and again we're just borrowing it, making it our own, okay? So that was with 3 different styles. I did it with a slow 16th note R&B kind of groove. I did it with a broken 16th note, very funky. You could use it in ballads, again, if you play a little slower. And then like the kind of hip-hop go-go music that you would hear from Chuck Brown or Belle Biv DeVoe. I'm sorry I keep using Belle Biv DeVoe as the perfect example, but hey, you know, they had some good stuff. All right, so that's Nick's Drum Licks number 5 in the series. If you have any questions, let me know. You'll see the PDF of the lick on my site, nicksdrumlessons.com. And until the next time, enjoy. Thanks.